Parent Entrepreneur Power, conversation number 141.
Parent Entrepreneur Power.
Wait, what? Entrepreneur Power!
This is the podcast for parents juggling the tough choices required for success in business while putting family first. Hi, I'm Mary Catherine Johnson, and I share the ups and downs and dirty truths of profits and potty training while chatting with successful parent entrepreneurs from all walks of life. Are you powered up? Okay, Power Parents, welcome to the conversation. Hello there, Mary Catherine Johnson here, and I have with me today someone I think is going to just blow your socks off because we've been chatting here before I hit record, and the energy is just flying in here. I can feel the atoms bouncing off the walls, let me tell you. I get to welcome to the conversation today Mr. Josh Elledge. He is the Chief Executive Angel at savingsangel.com and the founder of upendpr.com. Now, we got a lot to talk about, obviously. And, you know, some of the other stuff about relationships and, oh my goodness, just basic health have been lighting me up even before we get to chat here today. So, Josh, welcome to the conversation. How are you?
Thank you, Mary Catherine. I'm doing wonderful.
Yay! Wonderful is much better than terrible, so we will surely take it. So we start this whole thing off, Josh, with our once upon a time story. So if you could start us off with how you got into this whole parenting and entrepreneur gig, that would be fantastic. Which came first, the business or the kids?
You know, if we count being in middle school and buying candy at the gas station and selling it for 3 to 4 times what I paid for it, then now I didn't have kids at the time. I was a kid myself, but I always just had that entrepreneurial bug. And I think it's genetic because my dad was a business owner. My grandma owns a health food store in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. My I think it's great, 3 greats, granddaddy, Amos Elledge. How's that for an old-timey name?
Oh, my goodness.
He was a proprietor in an ice business. He sold blocks of ice. I just think it's so cool. And so I worked in corporate America. I worked as an internet developer, and I had a great job. But as good as that job was, it just didn't feel right for me. And this was getting just past the year 2000. So I've been self-employed for a long time now. And, you know, it's a risky thing to walk away from your job. And I had my beautiful daughter who is now 17 years old and driving and getting ready for college. But at the time she was, oh goodness, just a couple of years old. And it's a very scary thing to say, I'm going to go out on my own with a family in tow who's, you know, I'm responsible for, and find a way to pay the bills and make sure that we have a good lifestyle together. And Mary Catherine, I'll just tell you, I mean, it was, I'm glad I made the decision, but boy, I ended up personally going through a lot of pain before we finally, you know, hit it big. And since, you know, when I say hit it big, my company now, Savings Angel, which I launched nearly 10 years ago, we've done over $5 million in sales. And we have, you know, generally pretty low overhead. So I'm very, very honored to be able to do the work I do now. But the ride to get there was pretty tough and it was pretty painful. And, you know, thankfully I had a loving wife and an understanding family that was willing to go along with me on this journey.
Wow. Okay, we've got a lot to cover in that story because that was pretty amazing. So, you know, let me take you back. And first off, what's your daughter's name?
Olivia. And I've got 2 sons as well. I've got Ethan, who's 13, and Noah, who's 10.
Oh, my
And they start school on Monday.
Oh, my goodness. I have one that's already started. He started last Monday. And the other one's just starting college this year, and he doesn't start till the end of August. So,
Power
Parents,
what was that transition like? Because that's where we're at right now.
You know, the toughest part of it really for me is the whole letting go issue.
Yeah.
So not letting go like I can't let go. I have to, keep my little baby. I'm talking letting go, the reminders that we always have to do. They're in high school or they're, middle school, and we got to remind, okay, don't forget to talk to your PE teacher about this, or okay, don't forget to, take this to school or bring this home, or whatever. We always have those kinds of reminders. Well, I don't have to do that anymore, really. But it's such a habit, and we're so used to helping them navigate their life and directing their life that part for me has been the toughest to let go, because every time I say, don't forget, you got to buy your school books this week, he looks at me like, Mom, I got it covered. And, I got to go, oh, darn it, I shouldn't have said that. I should just let him do it. And if he falls, I can help him pick up. But if he flies, then I can just sit back and enjoy the ride. So that's really the toughest part for me. And each kid is going to be different, right? They all are totally different from each other. So this one I've had to really push along the way, and I really have to back off now and not push. So that's been really the toughest part. And he has a girlfriend, so that's kind of tough. But we won't get into that one.
Yeah.
But okay, so thank you for sharing the ages, because you are going right in there. Is she a senior now?
Yep, this is her senior year. She's doing so great, but she's looking at going to school on the other side of the country next year. So
it's a blast. I sit back and just I well up so many times throughout the day thinking, oh my gosh, this is an amazing young man. And the more I see it, the more it just fills me with hope for the future. It really does. And I think we need hope for the future right now. Anyway, so, all right, take me back to when you started. And I have to tell you, it's not ironic and it's not uncommon that your business started around the same time as your parenting, right? It's kind of called the baby effect around here. We have babies and we just go, oh my gosh, I've got to do something. I can't just be at this job. And it kind of brings everything to the surface. But take me through, what was the tipping point when you said, oh, I had a great job, but it just wasn't fulfilling and that kind of thing? What was the tipping point to finally say, I have to do something on my own? And describe to me what that something on my own was.
So I remember one morning I was in a big hurry because I didn't want to be late for work. Because if you're late for work, then, you kind of look down on, you get in trouble, blah, 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 just kind of working for somebody else. And as I was kind of rushing through the house to get out the door, I saw my daughter in the hallway closet, kind of looking in there. And I'm like, she probably shouldn't be in there, but my wife will take care of it. I remember just thinking, as I was driving off, kind of rush, got to get to work, thinking, man, I really should have said something about that. But I thought, it's not a big deal. Well, I'm nearly all the way to work, and I get a frantic call from my wife. And this was before, I had a cell phone, but she did not at the time. And so she frantically calls me and says, Josh, our daughter, our 2-year-old daughter, just downed a half bottle of cough medicine. I'm rushing her to the ER right now. Click.
Oh, my.
And so for the next hour, I'm going from hospital to hospital trying to find my wife and my baby daughter. And it was that moment of clarity where I thought, I let something like work and working for somebody else and making somebody else's dreams come true, I put that at a higher priority than the safety of my daughter.
And my instincts.
Yeah, and my instincts. Yeah, absolutely. And that was the moment. And I finally found them at the right hospital, and she was okay. She was fine. They got her the stuff so that she could get rid of all that. It worked out okay. And, just being with them in the hospital, that was the moment. And I said, you know what? My other instinct was that I'm not satisfied working for somebody else. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something. And so at the time, I had a background in working in journalism. I was a journalist for the United States Navy for 5 years. And even though that's not what I studied in school, I I could do that. I could do some internet development on my own, and I could probably make it. Well, those businesses ended up not doing really great. We ended up losing our home. We ended up going through personal bankruptcy as a result of that. We downsized, which was fine. And all of these experiences were actually pretty good for me because it really toughened me up. And one thing I know about being an entrepreneur where you're also responsible for the livelihood of other people is you got to be tough. You have to be willing to do what other people are not willing to do. You have to be willing to ask for the sale. You have to be willing to put in the resources and the time and make the investments that other people are not willing to do. And it means that you have to maybe live a more humble lifestyle while you're in business startup phase. And so I think I ended up doing a total of maybe 6 other kind of jobs on my own independent contractor type positions or my own businesses before I finally came up with the concept of Savings Angel. And Savings Angel was something that I developed completely out of need. And it was my 7th business venture that ended up making it. So, to the person who's like, I've been trying to do this, it really hasn't been working out, take heart. It generally requires you to get your nose bloodied quite a bit before you finally find the thing that's really going to do quite well for you. And if you can stick with it, and if you can come across what that is, the problem that you can solve, the need in the marketplace that you can fulfill, then, and you have a solution and you're willing to do what it takes to get the exposure, in addition to just having a great idea, then you can absolutely create a huge level of success.
Wow. So which of your businesses in the beginning stages really taught you that lesson of you have to do the things that others aren't willing to do and to really cut back? Which of those businesses was the lesson for that? And tell me how that happened.
So the newspaper, I owned a small town newspaper, and we had a distribution of about 2,000 households, and we just distributed it to everybody. I would do any job, but the one job that I just absolutely was petrified of was sales. And sales is what brought in the money. Right. I just had this weird belief that sales was trying to convince people of something. It was trying to sell them something, when in fact, that's just not the case. I mean, that's the case maybe for amateur salespeople who don't do very well. Right. But really, sales is solving problems. It's helping people. It's finding out, here are the resources I have to offer. Can this make your life better? That's what sales is now. And it was that fear that led me to fail in that first business. The next business that I really took on was a marketing and sales position. It was a kind of an independent contractor position where I had to put myself in very, very uncomfortable selling environments. I mean, certainly everything was extremely ethical in every sense of the word, but it was outside my comfort zone in a very, very, very big way. And I did that for 5 years. And I got rejected so harshly so many times, but every time I did, it thickened my skin a little bit. And it was because of those experiences and putting in all of that blood, sweat, and tears into earning a good income doing that by the time I started Savings Angel, I had everything I needed in terms of personality. And it really, I'd say, what would I define it as? It's grit. And if you've got the grit, then you're going to do okay.
So let me understand this now. So you had a newspaper business where you produced a newspaper and sold it to people who wanted to read it. And your number one fear was selling that newspaper to people.
Yeah, I gave away the newspaper.
Right.
I gave away the newspaper, but it was advertiser supported. Yeah. But I'd try and hire that position out. I ended up having employees that would steal from me, in that sales position. It was really, really a rough road. I would not recommend that business to anybody.
But my point is, so the sales, even to advertisers, that the selling was the most difficult part. And then you immediately jump to a independent contractor in sales and marketing.
Yes.
How in the world?
I needed it.
Okay,
and
so this was like your own personal growth idea? Because how did you go from, oh my gosh, this has been biggest fear, I hate doing it, to I'm going to do this full time?
Yeah, because, the newspaper was, I needed to do something else because I was running out of money, running out of resources. I had to do something else. And I came across this opportunity through a friend. And, we looked at the business plan. It looked great. It ended up working out pretty well. It was very uncomfortable, but I really just absorbed myself in training. I just surrounded myself with people who were successful, and I emulated their activity. So I thought, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it too. All I have to do is just learn the same skills, kind of get comfortable with the same processes. And, slowly but surely, I got better and better at it to the point where we were making a very good income for our family.
Wow. Now, Josh, would you agree that parenting is really very, very similar in the sense that you've really got to be willing to do the very difficult tasks?
Yeah, because I think that there are times where, left to my own devices, I would choose, I don't want to intervene in that, or I don't, it's a difficult thing, or, the kids are being crazy and they're just being kids. And, I may be also at that time in the middle of working on something or fulfilling another responsibility. And so a lot of times, I just have to make that decision to, have that heart-to-heart conversation with my 13-year-old or my daughter, when and to be, to exercise that patience, when my daughter is, properly expressing her emotions for someone her age, to allow her to do that and not to tell her, oh, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't express your emotions like that. But maybe, just teach her the skills that she needs, and, just really bite my tongue, bite my lip, when she's, getting an emotional reaction from me, to just exercise a bit more patience with her or my boys, and, just be the parent that they need me to be for them.
Wow. I am impressed. I have to tell you, to take on, and that took the grit you were talking about, to just face that difficulty of sales and just hit it head on and do everything you could to improve that skill, so that you finally just said, I'm going to make a success of this, or I'm going to die trying, kind of idea, right? What
I had to do was sell the opportunity of working together, and what I did in the beginning, and how Savings Angel became so successful and how we, quote unquote, got discovered, is that I worked with the media and developed partnerships and relationships with the media, where I could get millions of dollars of free advertising now, and not have to pay a dime for that, but to give them what they really need and what their audiences really need. And so, when I started Savings Angel, I had no money for marketing. I had no money for advertisements, but instead I said, I'd really love to work with you. Maybe we could create a segment together, or, if you have any remnant space, maybe we could do this. And it was coming up with creative ideas and learning how to navigate those waters. And as a result, within a year, we were able to make a good full-time income from Savings Angel. And then, of course, within a few years, able to make, 7-figure a year income. So that's pretty exciting to be able to experience that. But I wouldn't have been able to do it had it not been for me putting myself in that position of discomfort, to be able to gain the grit that I need. Because with Savings Angel, I had to do a lot of selling. Selling in the sense of just being willing to share this idea with lots of people, and a lot of them said no, and but a lot of them said yes, and it's just really just a numbers game of how many people can I get in front of, and how can I find ways to make their job easier, and then they would then in turn help me spread the word about Savings Angel. Because one thing that I've learned about business is you can have the best idea in the world, but if nobody knows about it, you're not going to make any money. Yeah. And getting discovered in business is a myth. Yeah. Nobody gets quote unquote discovered. Right. I mean, it's like 0.0001% of all businesses that become successful got discovered. Most of the time, they made that discovery happen by just getting out and hustling and, just sharing their story with influencers and serving audiences. Those are the two most important things I think you can do to grow a business. And in fact, it's what I teach now. Other entrepreneurs, other startups, I help them become media celebrities so that they can get all the exposure they want without having to pay through the nose for it.
Well, I think we're all interested in that. But take me back to Savings Angel now. Tell me, educate the audience about what exactly Savings Angel does.
We're a membership-based website, and we help consumers cut their grocery bill in half. And we're very, very good at what we do. And we've helped consumers save now over the past 10 years, many, 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 many millions of dollars. And so what we do is we database everything that all the local grocery stores are doing. And then we have a huge database of manufacturer coupons, because if you want to cut a grocery bill in half, and the average consumer spends more than $900 a month on food. And so if I can help the average household pocket an extra $300-400 a month, that's a lot of money. $300 to $400 a month that's amazing. And when I came up with the idea, I'd heard about people who were able to cut their grocery bill in half. And I didn't know what they did, but I read a stack of books on the subject, and it comes to find out that there are really two ways you can significantly cut your grocery bill. Number one is you can grow all your own food. And I just knew that wasn't going to fit with my lifestyle. I just don't have the patience. I've not had good luck doing that. So I'm going to check that one off. Number two is that you have to use manufacturer coupons very intelligently. So when a coupon comes out, that's generally not the time to use it. You need to wait until that item goes on sale, and a really good sale. So you want to stack a really high value coupon with a really great local sale. And that's how you can get, like, for example, this week, you can get Cheerios for 50 cents a box. And, it's better than paying $4 a box. Mm-hmm. And if you can just get that level of savings on everything that you buy week to week, that's how you're able to pocket an extra $300-400 a month or more. And so we just do all the hard work in helping to identify what all those deals are at the local store. And so we charge our members $3.99 a week. And for that, they generally can pocket many hundreds of dollars monthly.
Wow. Now, what about, I have to, as you're talking about this, there's most of the products that you probably have with coupons are the manufacturer's products, like the cereals and things like that. Is that possible? Do you have opportunities for people who are now, since our consumer environment is changing toward less manufactured products? It obviously hasn't changed drastically yet, but a lot of people are cutting out the cereals and the middle of the store, so to speak, and shopping the outsides, and mostly meats and vegetables and fruits and very little prepackaged foods. Would Savings Angel help with those people?
Yeah, one thing you don't know about me as well is that I lost over 60 pounds on what I call the coupon diet. And I did kind of what you're talking about, where I took my savings on things that maybe didn't matter as much, like paper products, like paper towels and diapers, and maybe some health and beauty products, cleaning products. And the savings that you can have just in those areas alone are pretty significant. And then, of course, you add in things like, getting frozen vegetables, which the FDA and the USDA believe are just as healthy as most fresh vegetables in the produce section, just simply because of where they're sourced, when they're picked, and how they're treated by the time it takes for them to get to your grocery shelf. So, and we could talk a lot about that, about that process. But so we ended up just buying a lot of healthier products, and there are coupons for healthy foods right now in our coupon database at Savings Angel. There are close to 100 coupons right now for organic products. So if organic foods are important to you, guess what? There are coupons for them. And there are also sales on healthy, minimally processed products that you can get for your family. So essentially what I did is I took my savings and I reinvested it, and I doubled down on more produce. So for me, that meant eating less carbs, less processed foods, more whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, and, really, kind of coupled that with, an active lifestyle. But within 1 year, I was able to go from 230 down to 170. So, for a 5'9" guy, that's pretty significant. So today I have coupons to thank for my healthier lifestyle.
Wow, that's fantastic. All right, any of the power parents out there, if you follow me at all on any of the social media, you will know that that's the direction our lives have gone. My family's life has gone, and I think that would be an amazing. I'm gonna have to definitely check out Savings Angel to help with that, because you're right. I could easily spend between $200 to $300 a week on groceries for 4 people.
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah, and I have two. An 18-year-old and a soon-to-be 15-year-old, and a husband who's eating to catch up to them. So, it's definitely the highest expense for our family. And if you're talking about $300 a month savings, I mean, that's a car payment easily. That's an amazing savings that you can just put in the bank and save. Put it toward whatever savings program you have. So, wow. All right, so. We've touched on it. I feel like almost I've been just throwing darts at the dartboard and hitting various parts of your life, and it's been pretty amazing to just do that. But let's try and bring it all together a little bit and take me through a typical day for you, because the majority of the people listening out there are like, all right, this guy's energy is through the roof. He's done amazing things. He's built and failed and built and failed, and now amazing success for this business and media opportunities. And oh my gosh, I want to be like him. But how in the world can I, sitting here in my little house or in my office or on the treadmill walking or driving to work, how can I do all the things he does with my day and my kids and my life? So take me through a typical day for you and how you get it all done.
Yeah. So much like I would like to tell you that I wake up at 5 a.m. and, I'm instantly out running and meditating and yoga and all of that other stuff and, drinking kombucha and, whatever. But I don't. I generally don't wake up until, when school's back in session. I'll wake up at 7 with my 10-year-old. But in the morning, that's my family time. I'm pretty much just involved in, making sure that, whatever needs to get done that day, that those priorities are set with my kids. I work from home, which is a blessing and a little bit of a curse, just simply because even as many years as I've been doing this, it is sometimes a little bit difficult to set that dividing line and to, avoid the temptation when, I'm under deadline to do stuff, or I have people that are expecting things from me. And yet, my kids are saying, hey, Dad, you want to come out and shoot basketballs? Well, I don't want to be, cats in the cradle, little. I'm like, but it's like, my 13-year-old asked me to play basketball, and it's like, but I've got to work. And it's like, all of a sudden I hear that, beep, beep, beep.
Yep.
And I'm like, I feel like a crummy dad. But, I have to negotiate with him and just say, look, I have to get this done now. But I tell you what, I'm going to be available at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever. And then I need to honor that if I tell him a certain time, because he needs to know that he can count on me. Right. And you know what? It's not always perfect. It's not always pretty. But, we have have to do the best that we can, not beat ourselves up when we're not a perfect parent or not a perfect business owner. It just is what it is. And we can't judge ourselves. Otherwise, we'll drive ourselves mad. We just have to say, you know what? I did the best I could for today, and I did not get everything done. You're never going to get everything done. There's always going to be stuff that's on the list that's just not going to get done. And you just have to be okay with that. So for me, in a typical day, I generally will start work around 9:30, and that's I end up doing, usually the first thing is a lot of communication. Now, one secret that I would say is that the faster you can start putting people in place to help you do work by hiring assistants, by hiring people to do different aspects of the things that can be trained and resourced out, I do it, because you'll be able to create more good in the world if you have a team of people rather than just trying to do it all yourself. And so, with Savings Angel, we've had as many as 50 some employees at any one time. We have a lot of people to build what we build. And, today we don't have quite that many, but I still believe in building systems and making sure that my business does not rely upon my activity. Because if I have a business that relies on me working 10, 12 hours a day, I've just created a job for myself. Right. I haven't created a lifestyle business. Right. And what I want is to be able to take a week off with little to no consequences whatsoever. And so that's why getting really, really good people and making the investment in good people is so critical for growing a business. So I do a lot of communication with my team. And then for me, my work is primarily with content creation and working with the media. So I'll get emails from the Chicago Tribune. I'll get emails. I'll get constantly. I mean, that's probably, when I get those sorts of inquiries, that's my highest priority work. And I will drop everything that I'm doing to respond to that journalist that I have a relationship with to help them get what they need, because I know that they have the ability then to do very good things from my business. So again, content creation and exposure are pretty much all I do. And then just making business decisions in terms of what's going to help me grow this business, what, maybe coming up with successful campaigns, being involved in development, and redeveloping and setting the sail for our organization. That's what I do. And so I end up doing a lot. I'm a podcaster. I do a lot of video. I love creating digital content for my audiences. And I truly love serving them. And if you have a servant's heart and you love to serve audiences, you'll find that both entrepreneurialism and public relations, specifically in terms of getting exposure, is going to be very easy for you.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So, but bring me back to that Chicago Tribune person. What would they be contacting you, asking you for?
Oh, a quote. They're working on something for back to school. A story about coupons is in the news, and I have developed a relationship with them that I am their go-to person. And again, this is with media outlets around the country and around the globe. Is that I have become a reliable source for them. So I also write a syndicated newspaper column. I'm on TV in 75 markets twice a month. My local market here in Orlando, Florida, I go into my local Fox affiliate every Tuesday morning and have done so for the past 6 years. It's a great way to do business, is just serve audiences, give all your best stuff, and people will come to know, like, and trust you, and eventually they'll want to do business with you.
Wow. All right, Power Parents, if that's the kind of exposure you want, I think you need to talk to Josh, because I think he's got that covered. Now, before we started recording, you talked about some relationship stuff and some counseling stuff that you've done. How does that play into everything that you've done? Tell us a little bit about that, and how does it relate to Savings Angel and what you're doing now? And it sounds like Upend PR, the other company that you mentioned, that I mentioned introducing you, is the company that helps people gain the type of exposure that you enjoy. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I do spend a lot of time with our members and with our clients, and I do a lot of pro bono work. I love finding startups who have a great idea. And the only thing that's just missing is they just need more eyeballs, because if you have more traffic, if you have more people coming to check you out, then you can test stuff. And nobody is a fortune teller in business. You don't know what is going to work. As much as you think that you're Steve Jobs and you know what your audience wants before they know, nobody's like that. It's just even Steve Jobs isn't like that. They do a lot of testing to find out what people want. And so exposure is the ticket to allow you to do more testing, to get more feedback, so you can truly deliver what your audience is willing to exchange money for. And look, you can either pay Facebook a lot of money for Facebook ads and Google ads, and you could put up billboards and put ads on TV, but that's really expensive. It's an expensive way of testing. I would much rather just test messages with audiences that are already pre-built, which is kind of my definition of public relations. So you just serve audiences, give them value, and then the ones who hear your voice or see you on TV or read about you, and they say, wow, I really like what she had to say, they will then come and find you. And it's just a much better way of doing business. You don't have to sell. You can just give. And again, enough people, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll be well taken care of in business.
Yes, definitely. It reminds me of Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yep.
And
that's absolutely it.
Basically what you're talking about. So now tell me about the counseling that you were talking about when we were first chatting before we started recording. How is that fitting into all of this?
So my wife is a family therapist. I went to school for therapy, but I don't practice. However, I have a business partner. And so that's one of the joys that I have right now in my stage of business, of being at that leave a legacy stage of business, where I can find other people that I can partner with, and we can create something amazing together. So I have a partner, Roy Biancalana of coachingwithroy.com, and we've developed a library of videos that are truly life-changing in helping people find love, helping people truly improve their relationships. And so it's really cool that I have an outlet now where all of this passion that I have for helping other people enjoy more abundance in their relationships, being able to do that now is really great. Now my wife gets to do that all day, or she works kind of part-time as a therapist on her own terms, but she gets that outlet. For me, finding a partner in a field like this is a great outlet. So it is really great. Once you build the success in your thing and you want to help other businesses become successful, you can pick and choose who you want to work with and find the stuff that's most fulfilling for you. There's so much opportunity in helping a great startup or a great entrepreneur create success. I love it. I'm really, really passionate about that.
So it sounds like what you're saying is, when you first started and you had that moment with your 2-year-old daughter, and then you went and just tried all these different things, started things that you knew about and you learned about, and they didn't quite make it, and you learned all along the way with all those businesses, and it finally culminated, all the things that you learned finally culminated in the success of Savings Angel. And now that you have that success and you've ensured that it was discovered through your skills, and it sounds like obviously there's no it's not an accident that you were a newspaper person and you know about PR. So yeah, you must know about that. That's something that's a very strong skill you developed. And so now you've done that and you're continuing to grow this success. And now it's the next phase in your life. And you're looking at the other opportunities where you can bring good into the world and make a difference in the world. And I have to tell you, that's exactly what I was talking about in the beginning, Josh, when I was talking about the fact that it's not an accident. We call it the baby effect. It's not an accident that you started your entrepreneurial life around the same time that you started a family.
Yeah.
And it's not an accident.
It really is discovery. It's, it's the realization of, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? And I knew that my calling here was so far beyond just being a cog in a wheel. Yes. It was, and even though that may have great meaning in terms of the overall, what are we doing as a company, I felt that why I'm here is that I truly need to create amazing things, and I need the flexibility to make my own decisions and respond to my own inspiration, whatever it may be, and truly just make things happen very quickly and build my own team.
Exactly. And now with the direction you're going with helping people with relationships and other parts of their lives that are so meaningful to them and that brings meaning to you because you can help, that's the next phase. And it doesn't mean you're leaving Savings Angel. Obviously, that's depends on what your exit strategy might be. But I find it amazing how these changes usually happen at the same time as our families change. So you're looking at your daughter starting to make her own life, and it's going to change your family's dynamic and drastically. And here comes another opportunity for your next phase as not just a parent, but also an entrepreneur, and adding another, another opportunity for you to impact people. It's life. It's the way we grow and live. And if we pay attention, if we just pay attention to our lives and the directions we go and the growth opportunities we have, we can create incredible things and incredible experiences for ourselves and everyone around us. So, wow, I'm just loving talking to you. You've had amazing experiences. So tell me, there are many people sitting out in this audience, and the majority of my listeners are either thinking about starting a business or in the beginning stages of business. And some of them are just sitting there rocking back and forth on the fence going, I just want to jump in and I have this great idea, but I just don't know if I can do it. Or they've jumped in and they're stuck because they've kind of started, but they're not quite sure what to do next. What would you give? What advice would you give that person?
Well, one of the things that I heard that inspired me to just kind of go for it was, just a question that was posed to me. It's like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen is the business could fail and you go back and get a job. And that 6 months or a year or whatever didn't work out. Maybe you lost some money. And that's just part of the equation. But what if it does work? If you just hide in fear in a cubicle, you'll never know. So, I'm not going to get any younger. None of us are going to get any younger. So you may as well just burn the ships. And, when you land ashore, you're on this island and, go ahead and cut those ties to that job. Now, I recommend, just as a way of being practical, find ways of doing things on the side and building an audience before you just up and quit. I don't think it's necessary to up and quit your job, but by all means, start building an audience on social media now. There's no reason that you can't do that around an idea. And if you build a following and then, around your posts and your content and your blog, and then you decide to write a book, or then you decide to design and develop the app or whatever it might be, it's just going to be a lot easier for you if you already have an audience that knows, likes, and trusts you, and you've invested your effort in. So that would be my first bit of recommendation, is build an audience now. If you could do it while you're working a job, I'd highly recommend it. Don't quit then. But when you've got the big audience and you've got, the product or service that you want to launch, you can test it with that audience, and they will give you feedback, and they will tell you exactly what they want. And you could put out a minimum viable product, and you can say, here it is. What do you think of this? And you can get feedback on that, and you can tweak it. And eventually they will tell you exactly what they want or don't want and what are willing to pay money for. It's a very simple process. Then beyond that, all you need is lots and lots of exposure. Once you find something that's a winner, then you just want lots and lots of exposure. And that's where we come in, Mary Catherine, at Upend PR. I mean, we believe in, we've created a done with you service so that you can get on TV. You can get quoted everywhere. You can get every entrepreneurial online website saying nice things about you. We handle all of that stuff, and we do it at a fraction of the cost that most PR firms charge. Because we're more of a done with you level of service. I believe most entrepreneurs are pretty smart, and we would much rather be a gateway as opposed to a gatekeeper for all the influencers that we make connections with. And so we do a lot, like as I mentioned earlier too, I do a lot of pro bono education and a lot of pro bono help, just trying to help other entrepreneurs and startups become very successful.
Wow. All right, Power Parents, you heard many things that Josh just said that you have heard before, but you haven't heard them from someone who just told you his story and showed you how he's implemented all the things he just said to get where he is right now and into a freedom lifestyle where he can dictate where he spends his time, his energy, and his money. So if that, I sincerely hope that inspired you. And when you first talked about failure and you talked about what's the worst that could happen, oh man, do I know what you were talking about. But there's a book that I would like to recommend people that read, and it's a very quick read and it's a fun read, and it's called Very Good Lives: The Fringe Benefits of Failure and the Importance of Imagination. It's by one of my favorite authors, J.K. Rowling, and it is actually her speech, her commencement speech to Harvard University, to the students there when they were graduating. I just love it. It is sitting here on my desk. I stare at it every day, pick it up, and read sections of it whenever I feel I need it, because we all hit those roads and we all have those failures. If you go through life without failure, you're not really living. Or, like she says in that book, you are living such a protected life that you're really by default failing at living. So get out there and do it. Wow. Josh, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really have enjoyed this, and I have to tell you, I am going to be checking out both of those sites, definitely, Savings Angel and Upend PR, because done with you is not necessarily that I'm a control freak, but yeah, I kind of am. I would much rather do it with you rather than just hand something over to someone. So thank you for that. Is there any last piece of wisdom you'd like to share with us before we end our conversation today?
Well, someone who's listening to this program may not, it's kind of like preaching to the choir at this point, especially in that they've now invested this whole program with us together. And that is, the value of association and the value of, continuing to feed ourselves. Every top business leader and every multimillionaire that I've ever met believes in personal development. They believe in associating themselves with great messages. And right now, with politics and with everything else going on in the world, there are a lot of distractions out there. And if you simply can decide that, the world will turn without me, it's okay to be informed, but and maybe you might be a news junkie or a sports junkie or something like that. But just keep in mind that, when we are spectators to other people who are in the news, we are working very hard at that moment to make their dreams come true. When in fact, I would much rather invest the time in making my own dreams come true and making a better lifestyle for my family. So that means that I need to be very conscious about what I feed myself. And I know that as I listen to podcasts like this one, Mary Catherine, these are the kind of things that are going to improve our value in the world. The more you learn, the more you grow, the more you have to offer. If you spend your time, listening to and watching the latest exploits of Donald Trump, I don't know how much that really increases one's value. So, again, just be very conscious about how you spend your time, what you expose yourself to, and just know that every day, every minute, we are making decisions and we're making choices, and those choices will either increase our value or, maybe, just kind of flatline us.
Couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much, Josh. I can't wait to have you back on the show another time.
Yeah, Mary Catherine, it's been my honor. Thank you so much.
All right, Power Parents, if that didn't get you pumped up and ready to rock, I don't know what will. I mean, the energy level that Josh has, I am just infected with. I love it. And I have to ask you, I'm going to leave you with one thing that he ended with, which is, Are you ready to switch your time to the majority of your time being producing rather than consuming? I consume every day still, but to a much smaller extent than I used to when I was in the startup and the more newborn and preschool and, school age part of my business. In other words, the growth time. I consume less now, but I'm very specific about what I consume, and I produce so much more. So where are you? Where are you in your percentages of production versus consumption? And I hope you are ready to take the next step and boost up and power up that production. If I can help in any way, you know where to find me. All right, I hope you enjoyed this chat, and I hope you enjoy the journey. To get powered up for your day, just go to parententrepreneur.power.com and listen to any one of the over 100 episodes we've had so far with amazing entrepreneurs just like you. It might just help you feel like a grown-up again.